Alright, we're live.
I'm just messing with you guys.
It actually seemed real.
I'm messing with Patrick and Michaela because they've been having some technical difficulties, and things haven't been going really well. So I just wanted to add a little humor there. A little humor never hurts anybody.
Janine's here. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Janine. That's unusual.
Maybe this helps her on Wednesdays.
Why is she waking up so? Why is she at 3 a.m. over there or something? Isn't
coming
it?
up a while before work.
I saw an episode. I just wanted to mention Janine. I saw on YouTube some guy was coming out of his house in Australia, Patrick,
Right.
and some kangaroo went after him, and he got in a fighting match with the kangaroo.
Oh, wow. I saw a video of a guy boxing one.
Well, that's what the same one. He ended up on the ground, I guess. But, at least we don't have any of that to worry about around here, right? We just have some ice we have to worry about. One time I came out of I live in an apartment, and I had like 12 steps to go down. And the first step, my feet went right out from under me, and I went right down on my back all the way down the stairs. Those are the only things we have to worry about around here, right, Pat?
Yeah.
But anyhow, I wanted to talk. Jimmy's not here today, so I'm flying solo, but I think it might give me a chance to catch up on some things that have been going on in the shop. I wanted to talk about, we have people who out there like Malcolm. We're going to get to his.
Who's on with us now? Hey, Malcolm.
Hi, Malcolm. And we got Blair, and I think, who else, Patrick? Who's out with Wisconsin upholsterer? Randy. And other people. I think we even have an upholsterer in Ireland who get ideas from us, and which is great because that's what we're all about. I like to promote the industry as much as possible. But I'd like to talk to those people about diversity. I'd like to talk about that first, about just how much we have, how many balls we have in the air right now. It's amazing. So what we have the live question and answer, which you're looking at now, which, by the way, please, if you have any questions, we'll try to answer. Please go ahead and do that. We have that. We have the Facebook, which requires constant upgrading, right, Patrick? And monitoring. By the way, Jimmy's not here, so I'll ask you, are we up to date on that?
Yes, I went on today and I approved a few people.
He's always approving people, or Jimmy's doing it. Jimmy's been a great friend of Upholstery on Broadway. I wanted to mention that. He filled in Saturday for me. Remind me to talk about the upholstered walls, Patrick, after I get through this segment. Yeah. Jimmy had to cover the shop for me because I was in a very high-end apartment or condo fixing upholstered walls, if you can believe it. It used to be I'll get to that in a minute.
Well, you mentioned Jimmy, how you're talking about him. We just finished. We're talking about where Jimmy's at.
Oh,
he just finished his wingback.
That's another thing.
Class,
so are those edited, Pat? Are those going up
No,
soon?
they'll be up in the spring.
Yeah, those require, I wanted to shout out to Patrick and Michaela, the editing that goes through this. I got a headache just thinking about it. I could not possibly do any of this alone.
Imagine having to listen to you two for hours.
I couldn't imagine listening. That's why he's sick of me, maybe. He's listening to my voice over and over again. But the editing that goes into these things and the work behind it are just, it has to be passion. He has to have a passion for it because I don't know if I could do it. I can be in front of the camera, but not what he does. And I shout out to him. So those two things, and then
you just finished. How many classes was that one? How many lessons?
So the online classes are the other third thing. We had how many out there?
Yeah, Jimmy's wingback was 15 lessons.
15 lessons, and they were. I tell you guys, you purchase that, you're going to get a lot of information on that class. And Jimmy, as usual, asks those good questions. I got to give a shout out to Jimmy and how good he's been on these online classes, and he's been there. Jimmy, I need a hand. What time you want me? He's never said no unless he's been away somewhere, but he's a really what we call a good sport.
So now he's on a well-deserved break.
He's on a break.
At least until the spring. We're trying to figure out what he's going to do next. If you guys have any, he's always looking for new stuff. And
he wants to try something new, he said. I said, just no extreme sports because we need them, The other thing that we do is we have an upholstery shop. We do custom work, and that takes, that's an amazing thing. And the other thing, let's see, Patrick, and then we have the in-house classes, which have been coming. Patrick, I have to tell you, I'm really happy with how many people have signed up.
We're fully booked except for Monday. There's the only one that didn't fill out.
We're pretty much booked, and what we're doing is we're having small classes. I think people are more. It was a smart idea, Patrick, to have more classes that are smaller. instead of one big class or two big classes. I couldn't get 12 people in that room anyhow. I used to do 12 at a time, but I've noticed that the small classes, I think we have a better time. The time goes by fast, and so far we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. In one of my classes, I have, this sounds like the beginning of a joke, but I have a therapist, a lawyer, and a doctor in my class. So you finished the joke, Patrick. They all took an upholstery class. The therapist, the doctor, and the lawyer took an upholstery class, and you're not quick enough.
Well, Malcolm actually just said something that we were talking about.
What's that?
That Jimmy should do a deep tufted chair. We were just talking about you should do a tufted piece for his next class.
You know what? That should be the next class.
I just don't know, are they hard to find, or?
No. We have, actually, you know something? I think we have a student in one of the classes with one. But I don't know if we can do anything with that, Patrick, because she's taking a class. A lot of the people who take my class in the Boston area are very high. They're professionals, and they're looking for, they do so much left brain work. They're looking for a little right brain work. And this upholstery seems to really fit into what they need, and they're taking the class to get away from all of the baloney. So I don't know if they'd put up with the camera in their face, Patrick. So we'll have to get our own deep tufted chair, and we will.
Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna do.
But I wanted to, talk about just all this diversity that we have in this upholstery shop. And, we have myself, we have my son, and we have Michaela, and we have a couple of subcontractors to keep everybody busy. Requires a tremendous amount of advertising. And I don't know if I should bring up how we advertise, Patrick, if that's not a good idea or not, but maybe I'll just give our budget. We never talked about this. Our budget at the shop, I hope I'm not getting off track. It's just I'm trying to get you guys up to par where we're at. And about, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I've probably got another decade, hopefully, that I pray that I'll be around and I'll be providing all this for everybody. As I want to do it as long as possible. I'm looking at a decade at this point, right, Pat?
Well, you never know.
But
you're here when you're 100.
but I guess what I'm trying to say is the organizational part of it, and we're going to get to Malcolm's. He sent in something about that. I'll get to that in a minute, but so I want to get that through. So we got all this going, and the YouTube. I forgot to say YouTube,
which we haven't done.
I know.
We're waiting on that ribbon chair. It's behind you.
We have fabric though.
Oh, you do
Michaela,
have it.
can you talk about the fabric that we got on that?
So, we actually just got in a greenhouse sent us some new books recently. One of them was an entire book of shearling fabrics. So, and that's the kind of fabric that the person who owns the ribbon chair wants on it. So I let them know, and he seemed very interested, and he wants some samples. So basically I'm just waiting for him to send his address, or if you have it on the sheet that, the workup sheet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
If you have it there, then
I'm not sure if we have that.
Can, right. Tomorrow I'm gonna order some samples to him.
Can you tell people what shearling fabric is?
It's like a sheep's wool type.
Synthetic.
Yeah, right? Synthetic, but it's like a sheep's wool type. It's supposed to mimic sheep's wool and sheep. The look, and I don't know. I've never felt an actual sheep.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know if it is anything close, but it's supposed to mimic how it
It
looks.
looks like it, and it does. Can I ask you a question? Did you check the stretchability of that?
Yeah, it seemed just as stretchy as the other stuff.
Yeah, I saw that, and I couldn't believe the double rubs on that. How many double rubs?
I'm pretty sure it's 100,000.
Yeah, I was really
impressed. And it's also
by
cleaning
that.
code W, which is a lot better than the one that we had previously.
Yeah.
Which he looked at, and it was only 25,000 double rubs, and I think it was dry clean only.
Was that a wool?
I'm not sure. All I know is the difference between this is it's recycled. It's all 100% recycled synthetic materials. So.
Well, I'm impressed with the synthetics. When I first started, which was well before you were born, when they first came out with synthetics, they came out with a Herculon, which is awful. It's like thick sandpaper. You get an idea. So that the synthetic fibers weren't good. But I've been fooled a lot. I look at the fabrics that we have now, 100% polyesters, and it's incredible. They really do mimic a lot of the cotton and linen, and I mean, you really have to, if it's 100% polyester and you run your finger over, if you know fibers, you might be able to tell. But most people, I think, do you find most people don't know the difference?
No.
And the reason that's important is because it reflects price a lot of times, right? If it's 100% synthetic, it's usually a less than 100% linens, for instance, which are expensive. So, any questions or comments, Patrick, that you want to read out?
Well, I was going to say, so once we get that in and they're ready to go, we'll film part 2 of the ribbon chair.
Yeah, and they'll be coming in to get that. So that's one thing we have on hold, and I don't know how else. My time is so spread out, and we're really working hard. We work long hours, and we work 6 days a week, and we need to find time, I think, for the YouTube.
Yeah, we can say it. I mean, I think we've neglected it recently.
I know
we've done one video in the past 3 months, I think.
I know.
So,
but I do the question and the answer.
We do it every week. We try to stick to it every week.
But the Q&A, does that fill in? Does that fill in at all? I mean,
I think if we did a few projects during it,
I might do
show
one.
some tips and stuff like that it would.
I have some antiques chairs to my right here that hopefully I'll have time to web up. And webbing is one of those things that looks easy, but there are some techniques that I can show you on webbing that you guys might not have seen. So we can get to that. But I think I've caught up with all the YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, Patrick, the last I checked was 21,000 subscribers. Patrick. Yeah. That's pretty good. And I tell people that people come in the shop all the time, and we talk about. They see we have cards out, and one of them is a YouTube card, right, Patrick? Yeah. And we talk a little bit about that. See, people seem to be impressed with that 21,000. That's a big number for a lot of people.
It's good. It'd be more if we were posting regularly.
I know. But we will.
Speaking of, I did put the thing over. You got them? The comments?
Yeah.
We're behind. We have a lot to...
Yeah, so let's get going on the comments. So this is from Malcolm. Do you have this up, Patrick?
SG, you're right. The poor Kevin can't spread himself any thinner.
It's
good when we're busy. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, with the classes, I really, one thing though, if you guys out there, upholsterers, I think all of you guys who are upholsterers out there can speak on this. We're kind of lone wolves for the most part, and we're working long hours alone a lot. I would suggest for anybody who gets to a point where they're confident enough to teach, to do it, just for the reason to get people in, just to fill in those lonely times. Because I have to tell you that I've been really excited about these classes. I didn't think so in the beginning. I said, "Uh-oh, here we go again," and because they're hard work. But I'm really enjoying the socialization. I have to say, Patrick, yeah. I've been meeting some real quality people through this, and. So anywhere you guys are at, and I think it really does increase your value as when people look at you, they see a teacher instead of a upholsterer, or they see teacher/upholsterer. That actually helps your business for sure. So I don't know how we can, except that you see the online classes, you see the technique that I use with Jimmy and Michelle. You see the technique of teaching. I think that. Once you get to a certain point, I think you guys could do it. A lot of people are really tentative about that, though. It's kind of a big step for a lot of people. But I think you should just do it. I think if you have a shop, try one night, advertise in a local paper or through the adult ed. We do that, We reach a broader amount of people going through the school system. And every school system in Massachusetts, and I think it's across the state, the country, have adult ed programs. I think there's almost like a requirement for adult ed programs. And so when you teach at your local school and you get paid through your local school, you get a check from, I have a check coming to me from Arlington Public Schools. And or wherever you are, Boston Public Schools, or wherever you are, you fall under the umbrella of a regular teacher. So that definitely adds value to you. That adds stock to you, and I would definitely advise you, if you want to know how to do it, just get an online class and see what I do with Jimmy. It's exactly what I do. And the technique, I think the biggest technique, is, especially if you have a lot of people, would be pin tacking. Definitely, there are some classes out there where they have 12 hoses running off 3 compressors where everybody's got a staple gun. That is not the way to go. I think you need to really slow it down if you're going to teach, and like we do in the online classes, and that staple gun comes out when you need it. Once in a while, Jimmy gets to use it. I have to really trust people with that because people can get hurt with that. But I think classes are great. I know I'm going on a little bit too much.
To catch you up here.
Go ahead.
Malcolm says, I work alone, and this forum is the only place I have the opportunity to ask questions from someone who is very knowledgeable about the trade.
That's good.
And then Janine says, I'm still looking to teach when adult ed opens up again. My question to her is, do you mean it's just not going on now, or have they not opened up from before COVID?
Oh my goodness.
I'm curious about that, what she means by that. Because
well, I think she means that
people.
Australia hasn't opened up. If the regular schools must be open, but maybe
She could mean it's off season too. Is
Yeah.
it summer over there right now?
I tell you, Janine, you would be a good teacher.
Is it a summer vacation over there? I don't know how that. Maybe
You
that's
can
what
tell
she
that
means.
we're geography whiz and is in this class. In this,
Well, I'm curious you can answer that if she means they've been closed since before that.
I mean, she could still do it privately. I don't know how much space she has, but the public schools do have some space. But you really have to sell that because I could tell you around the
Oh,
bus.
okay, so not from before, so it's probably because school's off. Or
Oh,
something.
okay. So once it starts, Janine, I really want to see that. I think that would, if you want to increase sales. By the way, I didn't mention that a lot of times you get work from the students if they can't finish or they have other projects. People have already mentioned that to me, Patrick, that they have other projects that they want me to do, bigger projects like love seats, which we don't allow. But anyhow, let me get back because I haven't even gotten to the first one with Malcolm. Malcolm has posted.
Are you doing the Facebook forum first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I commented on it. Look how neat it is.
I can't believe how neat it is.
Well, I don't even think we've showed a picture of ours. I'd be ashamed.
No, I don't want to show a picture of mine, but you have it up there now?
No, I show everybody. I was impressed.
I am impressed how neat it is.
Look at that, Michaela.
Organizational. See, so with me,
Now, Michaela could do that. And the
She
problem is
could.
we're in charge of the labor one. So
and the idea of these though, Patrick, I should say, is that everybody, if we had 100 people working at Upholstery on Broadway, every single person would know how to work these post-its, right, Michaela? So the idea is that anybody could come in and update these, and it's so much different. I know people are going, why doesn't he just get a computer? Why doesn't we do? We have information on the computer, but this being centrally located in an active working shop, you would be surprised at how this streamlines things. And things don't get, usually, right, Michaela? We don't lose things. We don't let things get too dusty, if you know what I mean. And what's interesting about the Post-its, which is really curious, right, is that they get old looking, right, up at when you have them up on the board. And we've had to introduce a new, I should tell Malcolm this little trick. We had to actually get a good masking tape. And you guys know that there are varying degrees of masking tape out there.
I think he did that on that one, didn't he?
Did he? No,
It's not marker.
I don't see masking tape. I see Post-it. So it happens, we've been finding that with the wind or...
Oh, I know what you mean. I thought you meant the lines.
No,
You mean the actual...
The door opens,
Right.
the breeze comes in, and sometimes those Post-its fall off, and that could be bad. So Michaela and I are really good at getting a piece of tape, a good piece of masking tape on the Post-it as a backup. And it really has worked, right, Michaela?
Yeah.
I mean, so everybody should be able to use this. I mean, from one person to 100 people. And I'll tell you, some of the secret organizations use this.
And I will say, in all fairness, the fabric board, we have a separate board for fabric. That does look a lot neater than the one we use.
Well, that's
so.
Michaela's.
It looks like Malcolm, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's because I finally use
Yeah, she used
permanent
permanent
marker
yeah.
to make all the lines and everything.
We actually introduced a new board. A new board shows productivity.
So we have 3 boards, right? Total?
Yeah. We have a fabric, we have labor, and now we have a productivity to show monthly where we're at with our income, and that's really important to see, especially for Patrick, where he can look at that and say, well, do we need to advertise more because why was that a slow week? And then usually we can say, well, that was a vacation, people are away, or this was an after Christmas week where people are just kind of taking a break from spending, right, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important, really important. I can't stress this enough. I mean, if you don't have your own business, you have budgets, but it's really important to track these things, to see where you've been and where you're going. We have I won't tell you the number, but we have a certain number every week that we have to reach in order to, keep things going, payroll and bills and all that. So Allison, oh, by the way, Allison, this next one, Patrick, you don't have this up either, right?
No, I don't have time today.
She's coming in. She's local. She's going to be coming in because she's having such a hard time with these corners, and I'll show these. So let me read this for you first. I'd love some suggestions for the inverted corners of this dining room seat I'm reupholstering. I made cuts at each of the 90-degree corners and then pulled the fabric away. It's not bad, but the fabric doesn't lie flat in front of the inverted corners, partially due to its stiffness. I never thought a slip seat would be hard, and I have 5 of these to do. Any and all advice is welcome. Thanks. So she's got one of the hardest cornered seats that you can imagine. And sometimes you're left with a little bit of a pleat. And I didn't tell her this when I was talking to her, but has she tried putting this in yet? When you put this in, sometimes when you push it into the frame, the post, sometimes the wrinkling goes away. And sometimes, depending on the fabric, and she might have a fabric like this, you might be left with a little pleat near the post. Okay, so she's going to come in tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend one thing that she could do if she's still not happy, because she sounds like she really is a perfectionist. I don't know if you can see this. This is the problem area, right? I'm going to suggest that she she's got it tight enough here that she can draw a chalk line right up near the top here, chalk line, right? And then cut this to a 1/2 inch back, and then add like a stretcher piece of the same fabric. So that's going to help. That's a little extra work, trust me, but it might help her. I won't know until I see it if that's going to be possible. But a lot of times the variables with the fabric, sometimes you can't do that. You can't. So I have to look at it in order to see it. So that would be the advice I would give, like Janine in Australia. She wants to try that with the fabric. If she's got extra fabric, maybe she can do one to see if that works. But isn't that smart? But when you do that, when you do make that chalk line and you cut it a 1/2 inch back and then add another piece of fabric, sometimes you can even cheat a little bit and do a ruffled piece in here, a ruffled piece of fabric. What that does is that helps the top up. It's similar to when you're going around an inside back. And we've done that with Jimmy, I think, and I don't know if you guys can remember that. I think we did that, a little ruffled piece, which helps in that area. That's another little trick. So this is a really good question. So hopefully when she comes in, I'll be able to give her some more advice. So that's another thing that happens at the shop. The shop's pretty active. So we have people, sometimes a DIY person comes in, and sometimes, that's fine. I don't mind helping out a little bit. Let me just...
a new Australian on here, Josephine.
Josephine, are you near Janine? Now, somebody once told me that Australia is so wide. It's like crazy wide, Patrick. It's like 6,000 miles wide.
Kind of like this country. It's massive. Not like New Zealand's a small one.
Right. So is she just on there? Did she ask a comment or question or anything?
Has been binging like the channel like Netflix.
Oh, brother.
Watching every video, probably.
I don't know how people stand me. I can't even stand myself when I listen to it.
That's why you need Jimmy in some of the videos to balance it out.
Jimmy's fantastic. Let's pretend he's right here. Is he on, by the way?
No, but I want to. Randy said he uses magnetic clips for his board. I feel like those would fall over the shop or something. We're too. We get furniture hitting the walls all the time. Randy's probably a lot more careful around his shop than we are.
I bet. I think it depends on how busy you are. I think the busier you are, keeping the shops clean. And shops. I say 2 shops. We have this shop and we have the Arlington shop is a real task. Patrick doesn't even know. But I'm constantly taking garbage out. I'm constantly doing the best I can to clean. But
The
it's
front
funny.
always looks good. Let's put it that way.
I got a funny
The good
thing.
part where people see her is always clean. I don't know about the back.
I got a funny thing to tell you. With the classes, the students do such a good job cleaning up, Pat. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Oh, there we go. Between classes, we'll be all set.
Well, we make people, 10 minutes of or a quarter of when the class is ending, we have people, that's our cleanup time. And people are really good about cleaning up, Patrick.
That's good.
Really good about cleaning up.
Even Jimmy?
No, well,
Jimmy's
Jimmy's another story.
Yeah.
Men are funny. There's a difference between men and women when they take the class, and I'll tell you what the difference is.
I saw Jimmy's camouflage military bag in there under the table. I could barely see it. It was so camouflage.
So with the ladies, they come in and they're very controlled. Their space is very controlled, and if they do have a toolbox, it's a very smaller toolbox. Very controlled, very orderly. Jimmy comes in with 5 bags, and he's a big guy. He looks like a Nephilim. You know what a Nephilim is? It's an old giant, and he comes in and he's like this. He's got his army bag, like you said, a camouflage bag here, full of tools. Another bag here full of supplies.
And then he drops everything, right? It falls all
The
over
fabric,
place.
and then it clanks. That Christmas Carol with the Molly guy, the dead guy with all the chains on him, and he throws it down, and he's taken up half the shop. I swear, that's half the shop.
Now, how many of those tools does he actually use? Like one?
I don't know, but
I think he just brings his whole toolbox that he uses for carpentry and everything.
He's wonderful. I mean, you see this big guy come in and he takes up half the shop, and I have to say, Jimmy, can you put that over there and put that over there, put that over there, and now you're going to work right here.
We're only making fun of him because we know he can take it.
And he's not here.
I got a few here I got to catch you up on.
Yeah.
Josephine says, just wondering if you've done any videos on how to replace caning. I know you haven't done that. But
Yeah, I don't
know if we know it. Don't really know if a channel does that.
I don't do caning, and I know that there are 2 forms of caning. One is the hand caning, the one that really looks good that you do by hand, you weave it by hand. And the other one is buying, and I don't like this. I've never seen one I liked. It looks too perfect and too manufactured, really. They come in rolled panels, and you put them on. If you're going to do it, guys, do it right. There's got to be a station out there that shows caning. I bet Malcolm or somebody will weigh in on that. Do it by hand if you're going to do it. We used to have a guy, believe it or not, in Cambridge near me here in Arlington, and he was blind. He learned his trade at the Perkins School for the Blind, which is a world-renowned school for the blind. And he used to do caning, and he had a huge shop in Cambridge, and it was always busy. He had work everywhere, and he was very good. I can't believe that you wouldn't be able to understand how that is, but Braille it's very tactile, so he was good because he was used to the Braille maybe, but he did a good work. He's not around anymore, and there's nobody that does it. So if you guys want business, that's the way to go. So we have videos on how to change caning to upholstery, right, Patrick?
Right, and she said she saw that one.
Yeah.
So
Natalie says here, she's written on the Facebook. By the way, Facebook forum, you guys, one of the best places to get information from your fellow upholsterers. And me and Jimmy will kick in once in a while, and I highly recommend that you join Facebook. And we have, 2 or 3 people, Pat?
I just want to say again, if it seems like we don't post much on there, it's because we answer everything here in the Q&A. So
right.
I know people might not see us comment things because we save everything for the week and then we answer it here. So
I tried sometimes to answer, but yeah, that's true. So Natalie says, I'm trying to upholster an open back dining room chair which originally had no trim. This is interesting, you guys. The back did originally have nails in it, but no idea how this was achieved without damaging the material. My struggle is trying to mount the back without fixing a trim to hide the nails. I have tried using heavy-duty Velcro. That won't work. However, this is not now coming away. I am looking for a much better solution which holds the back firmly in place. I'm looking for a much better solution which holds the back firmly. Hope this makes sense. Pictures shows the original chair with cream back, and a gray back is the one I'm trying to fix. So I did go back and forth with her, Patrick, on Facebook, but I want to show people this. So that upholstered back is an independently upholstered piece from the chair, and then she has to apply that, and she was stuck on that. So what we recommended, and I think the only way to do it, you really have to be careful, and you need to make sure you angle the tacks in. They're brads, not hammers or tack. They're not nails or tacks. They're called brads. And a brad is, what is a brad? A brad is a small-headed nail. It comes in different varying lengths. And I gave her a couple of tips. One of the biggest tips was make sure she gets the proper length. She has to go through the fabric, the padding, and the wood board. And she has to, what she wants to do is make sure she takes it through a muslin cloth first, because there's oil residue on those. That's very important. You see the light color she has there? And she really has to get used to these brads. They'll bend on you. You have to be patient with yourself. The idea is you put the brad in and you hammer it to the last, and then what happens is, if you're lucky, the last hit with your hammer, the fabric will pop, and you'll actually hear it pop around over the head of the tack. What that is, the popping sound is fabric that's not broken, popping, the nail popping through without breaking the threads. Do you know what I mean? So this is tricky. She might have to practice this a little bit before she gets it right. She's got a very thin frame there, so she has to make sure that the nails aren't too long. And she needs to dress it up to at least, I would say she needs at least 4 to 6 of these brads all the way around. Now here's a little tip that I didn't get to tell her, and I'm going to give you a big tip here. I'll tell you a little story. So at the time, we didn't do commercial work, but we had a guy come in that owned one of the biggest, most renowned restaurants in Boston, and he had about 300 of these chairs. And we would take jobs if we could make money on them, but he came into us desperate because no upholsterer could figure out how to, they were similar to this, and they were done in Naugahyde. And no upholsterer could figure out how to attach these with the Naugahyde. He didn't want fabric. They might have had fabric, and I bet they did before, but he wanted the Naugahyde. And every upholsterer that did it tried the brads, and you could see the holes. He left holes in the Naugahyde. Naugahyde was the original faux leather, right? So I was working with another upholsterer who was much more advanced than I was at the time, and he said to me, let me work it a little bit. So he worked it a couple of days. He figured out how to do it, and so we, at the time, we had a brad shooter, a pneumatic. Well, you can get these pneumatic shooters that just shoot the brad, by the way. And he had one of those, and he figured it out. It came in, and there's the chair. There's the one chair, and it's perfect. You can't see any holes, and it was firm. I said, did you glue it? No. Did you Velcro it? No. Did you? How did you do it? He said, I'm going to tell you, Kevin, how I did it. But I guarantee you that you cannot tell him how I did it, because if he finds out how I did it, we're not going to get the job. So okay. So I said, how did you do it? What he did was he took his gun, he angled it at a sorry.
I say sit back down. It looks
It looks dumb.
that paper floating there. It's just,
but I have to tell people how we did it.
I know.
Here, let me pretend like this is to see. This is a good story too.
That's my fault for not having the picture.
He's got the independent. He upholstered with the Naugahyde, the independent frame, and he had to attach it to the frame. Right. All the upholsterers. This guy went through probably 20 upholsterers before he found the guy that was smart enough. It wasn't me. It was my brother-in-law. He was the smart one. So what my brother-in-law discovered is that this is really interesting, if he takes the pneumatic gun and angles it down like this and shoots the brads up, that what it creates is, it creates a little like trap door on the hole that goes through, and guess what? He just takes his finger and he pushes it back and you see nothing, right? So he figured it out. So the guy comes in, says, how did you do it? I said, well, we can't tell you, because if we tell you, then we won't get the job. And the guy insisted, Patrick. He said, you'll get the job, no problem. You know, we had a certain price that we wanted to get because we figured it out. And my brother-in-law said, don't tell him. If you tell him, we're not going to get the job. and he insisted on knowing. I told him, and he walked away. We never got the job.
What did he think of that?
He was right.
Yeah.
He was right, and it was a lot for us. It would have been a good job, but that's not nice, is it? He was right. My brother-in-law was right. I got to give him kudos for that.
But it was dishonest. I mean, don't
I
tell
don't
him.
think it was. Well,
You know what I mean?
we not everybody's like us that gives all our trade secrets away. I just gave that secret away, and I don't have a problem with it. But there are secrets to every
I think
trade.
there was something that easy. We'd tell the customer. We've done that a lot.
But Patrick, when you think about that,
someone will come in with something and say, "I'll just do that for free." It's so easy, like with the padding for the.
No. Who would have thought of that?
Well,
I'll be honest with you. I'm a MacGyver. You know MacGyver? Upholsterers are known as MacGyvers. People, detectives. That can come up with.
Not conniver, right?
No. Well, maybe there are a few of those. But I'll be honest. I don't think I would have ever thought of doing that.
Malcolm says never give away trade secrets.
We do
This
though.
is trade secrets and everything. If you think about it.
We do though. You just look at the YouTube. We give everything away. I don't hold anything.
Like the button video, remember? With the washer.
Oh, that's one of the favorite ones. We got a couple of comments on that.
But hey, Malcolm, look what that did. That's one of our most popular videos, and in the end, we're still making something off of it. So.
I don't know, not much, but you know
No,
what?
that video alone, I think we've gotten $2,000 from.
What?
One video, yeah.
How's that happen?
It's the most popular video.
Patrick, how did that happen?
Over time. We didn't get it right away. It
get
still did something for us.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that.
Malcolm was right. We didn't just give it away. That's not giving it away.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I gave my brother-in-law a lot of credit for this. I would have never in a million years thought about doing that. Never in a million years. Because, you're holding the gun. You got to imagine you're holding the gun. Where are we here? Right?
Randy says, my answer is usually it was magic. Or ghost is another good one.
So when you're operating the pneumatic handguns, and this is dead, so don't worry about it, you really are wondering about safety. You have a safety concern, right? And you're always doing it straight. How he ever thought about, the angle is like this, you guys, with that. He's angling like this and shooting the brad. You really have to know your tool to do this. And he's shooting that brad in. And that brad's going through the naugahyde and creating that little trap door. How did he know how to do that? There's no way I would have thought of that. I would have gone like this, like all the other upholsterers, and said, oh, look at all the holes. There's no way I'm going to fix that. And then I would have went on to the next thing. I got to give him credit.
I think it's a little ridiculous the customer left, because he didn't think of that. Why would he get mad and leave?
He didn't get mad and leave. He took our idea and left.
Oh, so he just left and did it himself.
He had somebody that he either did himself that was going to do it for a lot cheaper than we were going to do it, even though we came up with the great idea, right? No, this is a history of my.
Then you blame the customer on that one.
This is a history of my family. This is in my family. Now, my great grandfather was great grandfather used to work on the Stanley steamers, Patrick, and they used to blow up these boilers with all the steam. They used to blow up until he invented a beveling system, a cooling system on the inside of the boiler, and he never got credit for it. My great aunt would always complain, Dad never got credit for
that's why there's copyrights nowadays and everything like that.
Well, if you're working for somebody, though, so I don't know how that works. They're paying you to come up with these ideas, so maybe, that's why he didn't get credit. But if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't have been a successful Stanley steamer, right? So Diane, let's get on to Diane. A couple before and after photos of a Plycraft chair. I hate these things that came through the shop last week. I don't touch them. Sorry about the quality. Did she do these? Patrick, if Diana listening,
I see that.
That'll be before and after.
I think that's Randy's.
Oh yeah, this is Diane. Randy, did you do these?
Yeah.
Did you actually do that?
Now there is the after photo is the small one on that.
Yeah.
I was trying to find.
Did Diana and Randy do this because they did a great job?
It's a bigger photo. If you guys want to see the big photo, go to the Facebook forum.
Guys, I don't take these on. They take too much time. I can never get enough money for them, and I think they're a pain in the butt. I don't do them. But that's a good job. That is excellent. So we should do a shout out to Randy's shop, Esquire Upholstery in Wisconsin, Patrick. If you guys are out in Wisconsin and you're looking at this, Patrick's telling me to go back or leave.
There we go. That's one.
If you're in Wisconsin or near Wisconsin in the tri-state area, go to Randy at Esquire Upholstery and Diana, and they're going to set you up really good. That's a shout out, right, Patrick?
There we go.
So, what's the next one? Oh, we're on the YouTube now. So we're going to have a moment of silence for Jimmy because this is the segment that he usually
He's not
does.
dead.
He's just not here. I didn't mean to scare anybody. Jimmy's healthy. He's going to live
Too
to be
healthy.
He's going to live to be 100. Actually, since he's not here, I want to tell a little story about Jimmy that you
Can I
guys.
say one thing first?
Yeah.
Randy said that chair is one of the easier things he's ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll got a little tip for him, Randy. If you want to do these chairs exclusively, you can do these chairs exclusively. There's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of the original ones, which you know that they call boys escapes me right now, but. You could become the expert in these chairs because there's enough of them out there, I think. So I want to talk a little bit about a story about Jimmy that Jimmy would never tell this story. And I'm not sure if we've told it on here or not, Patrick, but he actually rescued somebody from a train. But, you know, the guy Jimmy works for the trains in the tunnels, and a guy jumped in front of a train, and Jimmy jumped in after him. And Jimmy covered him up, and he took him away from the third rail, and the train missed or whatever, and he brought him out, and it was remarkable because we had a delivery the next day, and Jimmy was telling me about what had happened, and we were delivering a job, and I was still impressed by what he did, and he had gone out to the van after the delivery, and I was talking to the customer who happened to be a psychologist, and I was telling him, I said, how does it feel to have a hero deliver your chair? This guy out in the van, and I was telling him the story, and he said he read the story in the newspaper, and he was wondering what type of person would be able to do something like that. And I said, well, you just met him. So that's my story about Jimmy, and he's got a lot of them. He's a real good guy. There's not many people that would do something like that, I'll tell you. That's a special person. Okay, well, let's get to the first one here, the first YouTube. And this is another popular one, How to Upholster 1860s Chair Part 6, Double Piping, Patrick. Nice
We need to get
job.
another 1860s chair.
What's that?
We should try to find another one. No, they're very rare. That era is rare, right? So.
Well, these chairs are 18th century here that we got here.
Oh, why don't we?
Those are
do a
even
video on
older.
those?
Nice job, but as a professional upholsterer, I always fold the edges and staple instead of cutting them after stapling. I find it doesn't show loose threads on the edges, especially when using studs, but nice job. So, I can have an answer for that. So, sometimes when you have it's called a panel back or a paneled, on the seat, it's impossible to do, as he says, to fold and stretch at the same time. Usually what he's talking about is, and I do this when I can, do it every time you can, if you have a small, like on the outside back, you just have a panel. Is my fly over?
No, it's just, I think, no offense, it's the shirt and the belt.
What
It's
about
throwing me off.
it? What about it?
It's too tight.
What?
Michaela started it.
No, I didn't.
She started cracking up.
That's not what I was looking at. Matt.
You don't need to show those ones. You can sit down with those.
I
Isn't
don't
it?
need to show
No.
those. Oh,
I'm
is that-
sorry.
well, no, but I was. Oh, yeah. I guess.
I think it's
you're
just the way that the shirt was ironed or something.
Oh my God! I get made fun of. I thought, is Jimmy here? So you can. He's talking about. This is interesting because if you can fold fabric and staple it to get rid of the loose ends and it leaves a neat edge, you could do that as long as there's not
Randy,
much.
you're not helping me here.
As long as there's not a lot of padding. It's when you introduce padding that you need to introduce your stretching. And we're big on this. If you look at the online classes or even the YouTube videos, I go on and on about stretching. And that's, if you want to talk about something that got lost in transition from the skill set of upholstery, that is one thing, the stretching. And we talk a lot about that. We do a lot of pin tacking as a result. But we had a lot of crossover, thank goodness, crossover slipcover people to upholstery. And the problem with that is when you're slipcovering, you're cutting for the top of the surface and you're not stretching. And a lot of the people who slipcovered, no offense, they didn't know how to stretch fabrics. They didn't know how to do that because they were never taught. So, taught, no pun intended. So really, we go on and on and on about stretching, and this ties into it. Yes, you can fold fabric and just staple it as long as there's not a lot of padding and you don't have to stretch it. If you're folding and you're going around, hold on a second, Patrick.
Well, real quick, Janine's leaving. I want to thank you for joining in this time, Janine.
Thanks, Janine.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. If you've got an upholstered crown seat, you can't do it. You just cannot do it because you're going back and forth, stretching and stretching and stretching, and you can't do it. But that's a good question. The next one is Candace. I am a retired seamstress. Nice segue, right, Patrick? Because this is somebody that is a retired seamstress, and I've been staying up half the night, binge watching your videos. Is this the person from the new person? Not from. This isn't Josephine.
I'm not sure.
This is somebody else that's binge watching the videos, Patrick.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
Absolutely fascinated and learning so much, especially historic pieces. Thank you. These things that keep us going, by the way, these nice compliments. I mean, we do get some. Patrick gets offensed. He's offended when we get a negative.
No, I don't care. I think you would get offended. That's why I never print them out.
Didn't we have somebody say that, if just put the mute button on, this would be a great station?
No, I think they're funny.
And then somebody else said, turn the video off too.
I think it's easier to ignore them because if we were to respond to them, it wouldn't be pretty. Then we'd probably have our channel censored. And all
I
this
know.
stuff,
The funniest thing is when we pretended to be cat specialists on that. Remember, I was sitting on a wing chair.
Yeah, it was very controversial.
It was very controversial. We got a lot of people that were going back and forth. Somebody said, this guy doesn't know anything about cats.
No, this guy's a hack.
This guy's a hack. He doesn't know anything about cats. And then another person said, he's an upholsterer. What do you want?
And here we were just saying we weren't going to respond. See the whole Q&A would be us responding to negative comments, and that would just turn into a roast.
Do we get that many, Patrick?
No.
Sarah,
I think it'd be the new channel, a roast. We can do a roast.
The Upholstery Show Live is a comment. This must have been 2 weeks ago, Patrick. Sarah says, I think what makes you guys in this channel so special is that you're still excited about taking off fabric and opening up a chair, even after decades of doing this. And because, right, Patrick, we don't know what we're going to find inside a chair, so you can use your imagination, what we're going to find, and sometimes we do find things. And this gives me an opportunity to talk again about those 2 Rolex watches and a gold coin, you guys, in the same chair, in the same pocket of a chair. The gold coin was this big round and this thick, I swear, and it was heavy. It was solid gold, and it was commemorating the first year. No matter how you feel about the United Nations, it was the first year commemorating the United Nations in after I think it was 1946, Patrick, that the United Nations. So what did I do? I could have retired on this. Believe me, we could have retired on all these 3 items, right, Patrick? But what did I do? We put it in an envelope, we dated it, and we gave it back to the decorator who was working with us. And she was working for the client who I didn't know. Sometimes when you're working with designers, you don't know who the client is. And in this case, it must have been a really high-end client because did they not know that their 2 Rolex watches and a gold coin were missing? I mean, there it was. But I think the story, I find value in the story. This was many, many years ago. And people say, what does she do with those 3 items? I have no idea. That wasn't my problem at that point. I did what I needed to do, and I could sleep at night. That's all I'll say. But
and the first thing I thought of when we read that comment was we got to film another Treasures video.
Oh yeah, we have these videos that we do, and nobody's going to believe that H.R. Haldeman. Nobody's going to believe that. That was
even I don't believe that.
I didn't put that tape there. I wouldn't do that. That was there. Check that out, you guys. So Sarah, yeah, I do get excited. I do think, when you think about it, if I want to get sentimental here a little bit, but most of the furniture, what's changed a lot in the industry from 40 years ago to today is 40 years ago we used to do a lot of living room sets. Today we're doing more one-seaters, and I think the reason for that is there's more sentiment attached to one-seaters than there is a sectional sofa, let's face it. And the value, I think, a lot of what we do, I'd say 50% of the value, 50% is sentimental reasons people reupholster, believe it or not. It's huge. You know, they remember grandmother in that, and they're never going to get rid of this chair, the family heirloom. So that's a big change in the industry. I don't know why I brought that up, but so upholstering furniture keeps family history alive. I mean, it's another way of looking at it. And you know, it doesn't have to be a famous family. Most of what we do, 99% of what we do, are for people, ordinary people like us. But for in their family, grandfather's memory is in that chair. You know, sometimes you could see, you know, in real antique chairs, you could see. I had one chair that had a rope burn around the leg, and the customer pointed out the rope burn, said that's when the chair was delivered in horse and buggy to my house. My great-grandparents in 1862. She knew exactly, and you know there was another cigar burn here, which she said that was grandpa, whatever, and you know they're identifying their history within the piece. So that to me is exciting. But anyhow, the next one is how to upholster 1860 antique chair restoration part 3 spring tying, and KM says this video is brilliantly helpful. Thank you so much.
1860.
Thank you so much. And then 1800s, this was fun. The 1800s Civil War sofa, Pat.
Oh, it's a different one, yeah.
Treasures of Upholstery DIY project. Remember you had me, you got me.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't get flagged or something like that.
Yeah, you got
you're holding
me.
the clinch it like it's like a musket. Well, no, it wouldn't be musket, would it, for Civil War?
But you
we
know,
can't talk about that.
You know what's weird, though, is that was made at the same time Gettysburg was raging around the countryside. It was almost to the month. How did we figure that out? There was a date in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, we found something.
We found something to say that, yeah, while the Gettysburg was raging, they were making this sofa. So Patrick has a crazy thumbnail in there. It's funny. It's fun. You know, we had to make things fun. She said, this is so cool, KM says. And then we have Chippendale Restoration Update number 2 horsehair. And they said, why do the 4-way tie instead of the 8-way? I'm trying to remember this, you guys. So it must have been on back springs. Oftentimes we don't 8-way tie back springs. You don't see them a lot, but the reason is they're lower gauge springs. You don't need the 8-way tie. And as a matter of fact, an 8-way tie would create too much bulk because you're not putting as much filling on a back, and you don't want that bulk to show, like Princess and the Pea, remember that. 4-way ties usually just enough on a back, and I think that's what that is. Janine, is Janine still on? She left.
She left. But
her comment stayed. And this is about the Upholstery Show Live. We have a few shellbacks compared to wingbacks here in us. Wait a minute. Is she being funny here?
No, because we were talking about the shellback class and how it wasn't really.
She says
there's not many shellbacks.
Isn't that interesting? I wonder why. Not many shellback chairs in Australia compared to wingbacks. That's interesting. Any comments or questions, Patrick?
Malcolm makes a good point, actually. So that's a good marketing point for the redoing older furniture. That's exactly what we do. That's exactly how we try to market.
I mean,
we don't really say get your new furniture.
Yeah.
It's more, it happens, but like you said, it's mostly older pieces with value to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we do new pieces too, newer pieces. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we do everything,
but
that's how we market the classes. That's for sure. It's even in the description for the class.
Oh yeah, for sure in the classes, because we can't do anything more than one-seaters anyhow. So Chris says on how to upholster sofa final step. This was a very popular video too, Pat. I noticed that that before we did the online classes, I did long A to Z's, right? And but I still don't think they're as good as the online classes. But they are popular on YouTube. What's the name of the couch with the skirt Upholstery. That couch there looked like, I remember that sofa as a, what do they call those? Almost like a tub back on it, but it was tufted. But the unique part about that, I think that was a unique love seat. The unique part about that, it was what we call a sloppy tufting or a casual tufting. It wasn't the deep tufting, Patrick. People shouldn't mistake that as deep tufting. It wasn't. That was a soft tufting, and a lot of the reason for that is that the manufacturer decided to use foam rather than horsehair. That's why the Victorian chairs, the deep tufting, can only really be accomplished with horsehair, in my opinion. And the reason for that is, you guys, is that foam collapses around your pleats, and you can't have that on pleats. With you have 4 pleats coming from one button. You need it to be firm, and firm foam does not work either. The only thing really that works well is the horsehair with that. It's really, period. I mean, that's it. That's why deep tufting should only be, reserved for those Victorian pieces. And if you're going to try to recreate it, good luck. I can do it. It's hard. It's very costly. Very costly. I need to use horsehair in order to do. If somebody to commission me, it would be horsehair, no foam. I mean, what we used to do with the foam is we used to take our button dies, Malcolm. It's another MacGyver for you guys, right? And we used to put Patrick. So we'd have a sheet of foam, and we would plot out our buttons with the you'd see it with the diamonds and the holes. We used to take the die and put it on a drill, tape it onto a drill, and drill out the holes in the foam with the button dies, the cutting on the button dies. Actually, let me show you. People who don't know what I'm talking about. That's not. Hold on a second. I don't know what that is, but it's not die. That's a button die for buttons, and then we'd use that on a drill with tape and drill that into and cut our foam with the circle. But still, the problem is the edges of the foam collapse when you're trying to tuft it. It doesn't come out as nice. Trust me. I mean, if you're going to try to do it with foam, that's how I would do it with the die, but you're not going to get good results. Could I send, this is about the pet damaged upholstery, could I send you a photo, or do you have a website? I'll drive this chair to Boston just to have it repaired. I didn't see that. That's from Brandy. Well, Brandy, if you're watching, did we reply? We didn't reply to this. We probably should, Patrick, because I'm not sure if she's watching. But sure, you could send photos to upholsteryonbroadway@gmail.com, right, Patrick?
Or go to the forum if she's not in Boston.
Or the forum, right. Another one, how to upholster 1860 chip, part 5, measuring and applying fabric. 817 texted, I love your videos. It's so detailed. I'm an amateur at upholstering and get such good ideas and pointers from these videos. Thank you so much. You are a great teacher and I have learned a lot, and I will keep watching your videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. But that's from teaching. Those videos, what people have to remember, they might not know, or know, is the fact that I taught thousands of people Patrick might not believe this, but thousands of people in adult ed, Patrick, and I think that's when you do that, when you do anything that long and much, maybe you get good at it, right? The caning to upholstery conversion, upholstery and preserve your caning. Excellent tutorial, sir. Thank you for sharing your super skill craft. Thank you for the compliment. Should we catch up on some things right now, Patrick, or no?
I think we're good. I think you got to talk about those walls.
Yeah, fixing a pop button for free. Genius just fixed a button on my couch with this method. What she's not saying is she saved herself about $200 or more. Thank you so much for sharing. This is about a ribbon chair, part 1, Patrick. Thank you so much for sharing. Always interested to watch. Love all your videos. This is from Christy. That's one cool chair, she said. And so that's it for the YouTube. Jimmy, we miss you. Next time, we'll see you next time. So the upholstered walls, thanks for reminding me. So in about 1980, I think it started, there was a trend in Boston where there was a French couple. I don't know their names. I just know the story. And they got a lot of press. They came from France, and their thing was that they will upholster your walls. And they upholstered a lot of walls in the very fancy parts of Boston, of course, because I don't think it was cheap. But they did one condominium 28 years ago, and I was called in to do some repair work on it. And it's amazing to me. What I first noticed is there was no fading on any of the walls because I think the reason for that is because everything's up on a wall, that the sun really couldn't get to any of this wall space. It was really strange. And it got me thinking about furniture because it's flat and usually put in front of windows. It gets more fading that way. But the walls didn't get any fading. They had other damage, which I'll get to in a minute. But what impressed me is like they were like 28 years ago. They were as fresh. The fabric was as fresh. Can't say that about paint. Can't say that about paint at all. But it was as fresh as it was 28 years ago. And they had framed it all out with double piping. And the person had cats, so there was cat damage on the walls. And where the doors were opening, there was the double piping was coming away. In some areas, the fabric was coming away itself, and the double piping had to be. And then on the corners, I needed to hand stitch corners. It was a pretty big place, and it was amazing. I was in there for a while, and I did all. And then I went and I cleaned where I needed to clean. And I have to tell you, when I was done, it really looked like it was even better. It was like probably the first day they put this up, and it was amazing. It was a very unusual job that I took. It did take me out of the shop, and Jimmy, that's when Jimmy covered for the shop, but I was happy to have him do that. That's my story about those. So Patrick, Michaela, can we get to you? We've got a few estimates, do we? People like this segment, I think, for estimates. And
I think we're at an hour, but if you want to do I think you should do the one about the online classes. I don't think we had any more, did we?
Whatever you have.
3 total.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's start. Michaela's going to read these out for us.
All right. The first one is from January 23rd. It's from Danielle.
Okay.
I have a 26.5 wide by 41 length by 14.5 high storage ottoman that I am considering having reupholstered. Can you give me a general estimate, please?
So she doesn't have a picture.
No.
So I'm going to make this one easy because storage, you guys have to be careful of these upholstery jobs that, and sometimes when you give a price without getting all the information and it turns out to be more, some people try to hold you to the price, and sometimes you actually have to honor a price. Happened to me today on fabric. My book showed a $48 yard, that it was 48 and it was 68. Michaela has a better way of checking the prices than I do. I checked the back of the book, which I didn't think that'd gone up. It's gone up $20 a yard, and the customer called me on it. She said, well, it says right there 48, so I had to honor that price. But that's okay. I got some labor on it, so it wasn't too bad. But so I'm gonna suggest, and you guys hopefully you learn from these, that she has to send me a photo, because on storage, some of these storage boxes are upholstered on the inside. What a nightmare that is, to be upholstered on the inside. It's not easy upholstering anything on an inside of a storage box. So it could be upholstered on the top just alone. It could be upholstered around the bottom, around the base, or it could have upholstered. It's funny that they just, assuming that what style this is, this storage box, but they come in all different shapes and sizes and styles, so we need to see pictures. Please send us photos. That's it on that one. But this obviously can save. I don't make too many mistakes on labor estimates or fabric estimates. I really don't, because we ask these probing questions, because sometimes it's not that people are keeping information away from you or photos. It's just that they're not thinking. They're thinking that it's just a generic thing, and it can't be generic. Like I said, you could end up having a lot more work than you bargained for. So what's the next one?
The next one is an inquiry. It's from January 24th.
Mm-hmm.
From Haley.
Can you read that?
Hello, I've been doing upholstery as a seamstress / apprentice for a few years. I started doing my own projects from start to finish a few months ago. I have the basics and application, but I am hungry for more knowledge. Which subscription would be best for me? I do not need the intense step-by-step classes, but would like access to little tips and tricks videos like you have on YouTube. And thank you and appreciate all that you do.
So you can answer. I think that she's missing the point of the online classes here. I think the online classes are her best source for tips. YouTube can give her something, but we talk about it forever, right, Patrick? That the online classes are where all those tips are.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't really describe the online classes like she said, step by step. It is step by step, but it's more of you're going along with a journey. You know?
And she owns them, so she can speed through the stuff that's boring for her and see the tips, right?
Yeah, the way we have it laid out is you can start off with wherever you want.
So maybe you could tell Michaela what would be the best package for her. I think if she sounds like a go-getter and she wants to learn everything, I'd tell her to get the whole thing. I'm not saying that to try to get a better sale. I'm just saying from the intensity that I see here and the enthusiasm, wouldn't she be better off with all of them? Right?
Yeah.
Take advantage of that. That's my best source. I mean, I liked Facebook Forum and I like the YouTube videos, but those are more introductory, right? Am I wrong?
From what she's asking, I think, yeah, you're right. I mean,
so I wonder reading this if she's tried the online class. It doesn't look like she has.
Yeah.
She needs to go online. I mean, the other thing is if she's local, she could take a class, an in-house class, too. She's local, if you want to include that in there, Michaela.
All right, so the last one is from today at 2:27 p.m.
Rosemary?
Yep.
I'll show this picture.
I'm considering purchasing 4 of these used chairs, see photo below, and bringing them to you for reupholstering. I would likely provide my own fabric. Appreciate a rough estimate of cost to do so. Understand that you would need to see them in person to give me an accurate number. This is one of the chairs.
I can tell you guys see that whoever did that was probably somebody DIY. You can see that they struggled with that, and it could be another reason too is that it looks like it needs to be totally restored. So we need to make sure that we get enough money for this. So we're going to say just for starters, because she may have sticker shock anyhow.
Yeah, there may be more that is.
So we'll say $325 each, plus 2 yards each. Patrick, I think that...
Thank you, Leslie, for the saying there's so much more content than what I expected. Definitely worth every cent.
Oh,
and Malcolm saying that the whole package is always something to find.
Really?
In each segment, yeah.
That's even better when somebody says that, because those little gold tidbits, I just want to say my experience with YouTube is I had a really bad experience with, it's funny. I had the dishwasher. I think I talked about this. And I think this is where you can go wrong in YouTube. So the dishwasher was building water underneath, and it wasn't operating properly. It wasn't as full functioning. It was doing a terrible job with the dishes. So I went on YouTube. I researched a little bit, and I found out, I found out they were giving advice on how to take it apart. So I took it apart. I followed all this advice on this particular dishwasher too, but nobody was getting to. I was frustrated. It kept on having water build up, and I went through the process. I thought I did a good job. I followed instructions on YouTube, and nothing came up. And then on my own, I figured, okay, maybe it's because the washer wasn't balanced right, and one of the legs was a little bit off. So I adjusted that. That still didn't work. So I was left. The dishwasher didn't work for a long time, right, Patrick?
Right.
So then we had a drain. Now, nobody ever said check your drains to make sure that they're working properly. Nobody said that. They always attack the problem where it is rather than. So this is what I like about upholstery, because a lot of times the problem, I should have known better actually. The problem isn't right where you're working, but it could be on the other end of the sofa. That's interesting about fibers and fabrics and materials that we use. And you guys watch the YouTube. That's why I get excited. I really do get excited about upholstery, I guess. But I figured out, so I called in the Roto-Rooter guy, right? And he comes in because we had a slow sink on the near the washer, where the washer drains into the sink. And he comes in and he does his job. And I said, how did he came in? By the way, you guys, this is really worth doing. He found a problem way at the end of one of the pipes, and he said there was clogged down way down there. And guess what? I said, well, why don't I try that just for the heck of it? Let's see if the dishwasher does perform any better. And it fixed the problem, because what was happening was the water would be backing up into the washer and creating a problem, just a little enough to malfunction the washer. Who would have known that? Nowhere was the information given, and that's why I think we do a good job, Patrick. I think we're very thorough.
Yeah, and that's why I'm upset about the removal of the dislike button. Because if you went on that video and you saw all the dislikes that there probably was because they didn't explain it right, you wouldn't have continued watching. And that's why I think the dislike button is important.
Somebody told me 8 out of 10 YouTube videos aren't right anyhow. In regards to CPR, never learned CPR from YouTube. That's what I was told. Because 8 out of 10 of them are either old information or wrong information. So be careful.
Because there's something like that. They're showing the wrong thing that could damage. The average person doesn't know if it's right or wrong. They're just following it.
That's right.
It could damage your property or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have that dislike.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, in this day and age, I won't get into it. So,
nobody wants to be disliked anymore.
So, Patrick, we're over an hour. Are there any more comments or questions that we should get to? Are we all set?
I think that's it. I think we're good.
So thank you guys. I can't believe we filled in so much time without Jimmy, because Jimmy usually fills in for us. He comes up with some subject matter that kind of gets us off track. So maybe we were a little bit more focused with your upholstery questions and needs and everything else. So we'll get to you later. Thanks for joining us, and have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.